Welcome back to the Accessible Art History YouTube channel. This week, I'm continuing with my AP Art History series. Although there are only 2 images from the Etruscan culture on the 250 list, their impact on Western art history is undeniable. So to learn more, keep on watching. According to D.H. Lawrence, the Etruscans, as everyone knows, were the people who occupied the middle of Italy in the early Roman days, and whom the Romans, in their usually neighborly fashion, wiped them out. Funnily enough, despite this, their name actually gave the region of Tuscany its name. Other than that, however, we don't know much about the Etruscan people. Frustratingly, we don't even have a concrete answer of who the Etruscans were. There are 2 prevailing theories. The first is that they're people that were indigenous to Italy, and the other is that they were immigrants from Greece or Asia Minor. Today, most scholars agree that the truth falls somewhere in the middle. There's evidence of trade between the 2 regions, so it wouldn't be strange if there was intermarriages between the people. Additionally, some of the artistic motifs can be found from Italy. Found in their art, the first evidence of their civilization appears around 900 BCE. They lived in small settlements around what would become the famous city of Rome in later centuries. The archaeological record indicates that they intermingled with the Romans, sometimes culturally and sometimes via force. Either way, they seem to have been fully assimilated into the mightier Roman Empire by the end of the 1st century BCE. One of the reasons that we have a hard time understanding Etruscan history is the fact that their language is only partially understood. We have about 13,000 texts from them, but only a few are bilingual for translation use, meaning that we don't know how to read the entire alphabet. Only a few hundred words can be read today because their language doesn't even connect with other languages in the area at the time. So though we have plenty of beautiful images and some writings, much of the Etruscan culture remains a mystery. One of the best ways we can learn about the Etruscan culture is through the art they left behind. The 2 required images for the Etruscans on the AP Art History test both relate to death. Unlike many modern images on the subject, the Etruscan attitude towards death is far more relaxed and joyous. Death was something to celebrate and embrace, not to be afraid of. The first image on the list is known as the sarcophagus of the spouses. Dating from circa 530 to 510 BCE, it is known as an anthropoid or human-shaped work. It's made of painted terracotta and would have held the cremated remains of the couple featured on the lid. So what do we see here? A man and woman, they sit closely together, indicating that they're in a relationship, likely marriage. They're reclining on a dining couch. This is how Etruscans ate, a custom that the Romans adopted. It's an intimate family moment between the 2. Their limbs are stiff though, not quite natural. It's as if they are frozen in time. There's a lot of Etruscan stylization in this work, or the standard way that they depicted their selves in art. The beard and braids for the man and the braids for the woman are typical Etruscan hairstyles. They have an elongated eye shape and a slight smile. This is called the archaic look, something we also see in ancient Greece at the time. Even the couch and the cushions are stylized. We see paintings in the tomb and other statues that look nearly identical. This shows us that in the Etruscan worldview, death was simply a continuation of life. As I said earlier in the video, much of what we know about the Etruscan comes from their tombs and funerary art. This work is no exception. Dating from circa 470 BCE, this tomb is known as the Tomb of the Triclinium. It gets its name from the depiction of the 3-couch dining room in the main chamber. This is common in Etruscan culture and is something that the Romans would have adopted as the 2 cultures blended. What makes this work so remarkable is how the walls are painted with colorful banquet seats. People are eating on reclining couches, which is typical for this period as I discussed a moment ago. They wear brightly colored clothing. This indicates that they were likely very wealthy when you look at the design of the tomb as well. The left and right sides of the tomb feature musicians and dancers. It was a real party. The banquet was a time to celebrate. And the funerals in the ancient Mediterranean weren't the sad, somber affairs that we might imagine. Instead, they were accompanied by elaborate games and celebrations. By painting these on the tomb walls, the owners of the tomb and the family that was buried within ensured that these celebrations would go on for eternity. Although Etruscan culture is only represented by 2 images on the AP Art History test, there's no doubt about its impact on Western art history. Next up on our journey is the last culture in Unit 2, and it's a doozy, ancient Rome. Make sure to keep an eye out for that next set of videos.